I always knew those children weren't mine. Get the test or we're getting divorced. Kwame slammed his fork onto his plate so hard that drops of chicken noodle soup splattered across the tablecloth. I froze, the ladle in my hand, unable to believe what I'd just heard. What did you just say? We were sitting down for a regular family dinner. The twins, Jahari and Amara, had gone to their rooms to finish up homework. I'd just served their favorite creamy chicken noodle soup. Everything felt exactly as it always had. Or so I thought. You heard me just fine, Imani. Kwame pushed up from the table, his face blazing red with pure fury. I spent 15 years raising another man's children. 15 years. I laughed, but not because anything was funny. I laughed at the sheer absurdity of it, at the fact that the man I'd been married to for 20 years had suddenly become a total stranger. Kwame, have you lost your mind? I demanded. What other man's children are you talking about? Don't play dumb. He punched the kitchen counter. I know about that guy, your coworker. Remember the company gala 15 years ago? I genuinely tried to remember. 15 years ago, I was working as a bookkeeper at a major retail chain. I was pregnant with twins, huge already. I hadn't even gone to the company party because the morning sickness had been so bad. I didn't go to that gala, I stated firmly. I was 7 months pregnant, home on bed rest with swollen ankles and feet. You're lying. He snatched his cell phone and shoved the screen in my face. Here you are, wrapped up with some man. The blurry photograph did show me in a black dress, standing next to a man. I squinted closer. Lord have mercy, that's a photo from the company's anniversary celebration. Not a party, but an official business event. The man next to me was Mr. Cecil Dubois, the senior accountant. They were presenting me with an award for my service. We were just standing next to each other for the group photo. Kwame, this is Mr. Dubois. He was 58 years old at the time. He was handing me a certificate. Exactly, Dubois. I know everything. I felt a raw, scorching heat rising inside me. Not hurt, not confusion, but pure, burning rage. You know what, darling? I slowly put down the ladle and wiped my hands on a kitchen towel. Let's get this DNA test done tomorrow morning, and when it proves what a complete fool you are, you'll be on your knees begging my forgiveness. A fool? He smirked bitterly. We'll see who the fool is. Mom? Dad? Amara appeared in the doorway, pale, her eyes wide with terror. What's happening? Why are you yelling? Jahari stood right behind her, his fists clenched. My boy. Boys always take family arguments harder. It's nothing, sweetheart. I forced a smile. Just a discussion. Go finish your homework. We're not little kids. Jahari stepped forward, his voice tight. Dad, why are you shouting at Mom? Kwame looked at his son, and I saw something cold and unsettling in his eyes. Not love, not affection, but a cold, detached scrutiny. It was as if he were seeing Jahari for the first time. Go to your room, Kwame said quietly. This is not your business. It is my business, Jahari flushed dark red. This is my family. Jahari, please. I went to the children and hugged them both close. Go. Truly, everything is fine. Tomorrow, everything will be fine. I walked them to their room and closed the door. Amara clung to my hand. Mom, are you two getting a divorce? No, baby, no. I stroked her hair, long, dark brown, just like mine. Sometimes adults just have disagreements. It's nothing serious. I walked back into the kitchen. Kwame stood by the window with his back to me. You want a test? You'll get your test, I said harshly. But be warned, when the truth comes out, I want an explanation for this paranoia. Who's been poisoning your mind? He didn't answer. That night, we slept in separate rooms. I lay staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. 20 years of marriage. 20 years. We met when I was 21. He was a mechanical engineer straight out of community college. He courted me for 6 months before I agreed to a date. We dated for another year. Then came the wedding. Small, but joyful. I remember how happy we were when we found out about the twins. Kwame hugged me, weeping with joy. We picked names, set up the nursery, bought 2 cribs, 2 sets of everything. He came to every ultrasound, holding my hand when I was in pain. The delivery was tough, a C-section. Something went wrong. I hemorrhaged. They rushed me to the recovery room. I remember only fragments: the white ceiling, bright lights, doctors' voices, then darkness. When I woke up, almost 24 hours had passed. Kwame was sitting beside me, holding my hand, tears streaming down his face. "I thought I lost you," he whispered. "I was so scared." Then they brought me the babies, 2 tiny bundles, Jahari and Amara. They were so small, so defenseless. I pressed them to my chest and swore I would do anything to make them happy. I've kept that vow for 14 years. 14 years of being a mother. Getting up in the night for crying infants, treating colds, driving them to dance classes and basketball practice, helping with homework until midnight, fussing over bad grades, hugging them after fights with classmates. I knew everything about them. Amara's favorite color is deep red. Jahari hates grits. Amara is afraid of the dark. Jahari wants to be a game developer. And now, my husband, the father of these children, was claiming they weren't his, that I'd cheated on him. I got up at 3 a.m., unable to lie there any longer. I brewed a cup of tea, sat in the dark kitchen, and finally allowed myself to cry. Quietly, so no one would hear. The next morning, I booked an appointment at a medical center for the DNA test. Kwame insisted we all go together. I looked at his face in the car, stone, impenetrable. When did he change so much? Or had I just been blind? At the center, a young lab technician greeted us, a kind woman with cornrows. "Please come in. The procedure is simple and painless. We'll take a swab from the inside of the cheek for every family member." "Every single one?" Kwame checked. "Yes, you, your wife, and both children, for biological verification." Jahari and Amara sat beside me, tense. I held their hands. "It's all right," I whispered. "It's just a formality." The technician worked quickly and precisely, swabbing the inside of the cheek with a cotton applicator. First Kwame, then me, then the children. She sealed the samples, labeled the tubes. "Results will be ready in 5 business days. We'll send an email notification. You can pick them up in person or view them online." 5 days. We lived like strangers in the same house. Kwame slept on the sofa in the living room. I cooked, cleaned, helped the kids with school, pretending everything was normal. But Jahari and Amara felt it. Children always do. "Mom," Amara asked one day while we were washing dishes, "Dad is mad at you." "No, sweetie. He just has a lot of stress from work." "You're lying," she said calmly. "You always say that when you don't want to tell me the truth. Dad is mad at you, and he looks at Jahari and me strangely, like he doesn't like us." I hugged my daughter. She was so grown up for a 14-year-old, smart, observant. "It will get better soon. I promise." On the 5th day, the notification arrived. "Analysis results are ready. Please visit the center to receive the report." We drove there together, leaving the kids at home. The technician with the cornrows wasn't there. We were met by an older gentleman in a white coat. Dr. Elijah Vance, the geneticist, introduced himself. "Please have a seat." I sat. Kwame remained standing, his arms crossed over his chest. "Well," the doctor began, opening a file, "we have an unusual situation here." "What do you mean, unusual?" Kwame stepped forward. "Just tell me, are the children mine or not?" The doctor looked at him, then at me. There was something strange in his eyes, sympathy, bewilderment. "Mr. Jones, you'd better sit down," he advised Kwame. "I'm fine standing. Just tell me." "All right." Dr. Vance cleared his throat. "The results show that both children, Jahari and Amara, are not the biological children of either of you." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. The words didn't make sense. It was as if he were speaking a foreign language. "What?" I managed to gasp out. "The children have no genetic relationship with either you or your husband," the doctor repeated slowly. "These are extremely rare cases. I've been doing this for 30 years, and this is the first time I've encountered this." "Nonsense." Kwame snatched the file from him. "That's impossible. You made a mistake. We triple-checked." the doctor said calmly. "There is no mistake. I understand this is shocking news, but I gave birth to them." I sprang to my feet. "I carried them for 9 months. I went through labor. How can they not be mine?" The doctor looked at me with deep compassion. "The only explanation that comes to mind is a mix-up at the hospital, or rather, the birthing center where you delivered. If I understand the forms correctly, you delivered at the private birthing center, the Providence." I nodded, unable to speak. "It's likely an error occurred in the identification of the newborns. It happens, though extremely rarely, especially if there were multiple births at the same time, and the babies were of similar weight and sex." "This is crazy," Kwame repeated. "Absolute craziness. Imani, they messed up the analysis. We'll go to another lab." "You are free to retest," the doctor nodded. "But the result will be the same. All the data on the loci and markers are listed here. It is scientifically clean. There are no matches on any marker." I left the office in a daze, my legs weak. Kwame supported me by the elbow, the first time he'd touched me in 5 days. "It's a mistake," he muttered. "It has to be a mistake." We got into the car and sat in silence for about 10 minutes. "I gave birth to them," I whispered. "Kwame, I delivered them. I remember it all, the C-section, the recovery room, and then them bringing them to me. They were so tiny." "Wait." He turned to me, his face pale. "You said the recovery room. You weren't with the babies for almost a full day." "Well, no, I was hemorrhaging." "And where were the babies during that day?" "In the nursery, where they monitor them for the first 24 hours. "And during that 24 hours, they could have—" He didn't finish the thought. I stared at him. Understanding came slowly, painfully, like a knife turning in my gut. "Switch them," I finished for him. "You think they were switched then?" "I don't know." He hit the steering wheel. "I don't understand anything. This is a nightmare, Kwame." I grabbed his arm. "If this is true, if they were really switched, then where are our real children? Where are they?" He looked at me, the same horror in his eyes as in mine. "And who have we been raising for 14 years?" he added softly. I couldn't answer. A lump rose in my throat. No, not a lump, a stone. I couldn't breathe. "We need to go home," I managed. "We need to think. We need to decide what to do next." We drove in silence. I looked out the window, thinking of the sheer absurdity of the situation. Just yesterday morning, I was sure the test would prove Kwame was an idiot and paranoid, that the children were ours. I was ready for his apology, for a huge fight, for anything. But not this. Not the fact that my children were not mine. No. Wait. They are mine. I raised them. I am their mother. Biology has nothing to do with it. But if the doctor was right, if somewhere out there were other children, our biological children, what then? At home, Jahari and Amara were on the sofa in front of the TV. A normal picture. Jahari was playing a game on the console. Amara was scrolling on her phone. I looked at them, trying to figure out how I could have missed it. They really didn't look much like us. Jahari had light brown hair, almost sandy. Kwame and I both have dark, coily hair. Amara had green eyes. Kwame and I have dark brown eyes, but I'd always chalked it up to grandparents' genes. My grandmother had light hair. Kwame's father had gray-green eyes. "So?" Jahari pulled himself away from the screen. "Is Dad satisfied now, or are we doing more tests?" He spoke with a challenge in his voice. My boy was trying to protect me. My God, he doesn't know. Neither of them knows. "Jahari," I started, but Kwame cut me off. "Go to your rooms. We need to talk again." Amara rolled her eyes. "Are we going to be constantly banished to our rooms while you two figure things out?" "Amara!" I raised my voice. My daughter flinched. I had never yelled at her. "Please, this is important. Go." They left, wounded. Amara slammed her door. I heard Jahari turn up his music, his method of protest. Kwame and I sat down in the kitchen. I automatically brewed tea and placed a cup in front of him. He didn't touch it. What do we tell them? I asked. Nothing. For now, nothing. How can we say nothing? Kwame, they can feel it. They already feel that something is wrong. We'll retest at another lab. We'll go tomorrow. And then he fell silent. Then what? Then we'll deal with it. He stood up. I need to think. I need to be alone. He walked into the living room. I stayed in the kitchen, looking at the cooling tea, the dirty dishes in the sink, the fridge covered in kids' drawings and school schedules. My family, my life, everything I had built for 14 years. And now it was all shattering because some nurse 14 years ago might have mixed up the tags on the babies. If this is true, if it's not a lab error, I put my face in my hands. Not now. I can't break down now. The children are close by. They can't see me like this. I stood up, poured out the tea, washed the dishes, wiped the table. Familiar, calming actions. My hands did the work while my brain tried to process what had happened. The next day, we drove to another lab, clear across town. The same procedure. Cotton swabs, test tubes. They promised results in 1 week. An expedited test cost twice as much, but I would have paid 3 times just to know the truth sooner. The week dragged on, an eternity. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time I looked at Jahari and Amara, I caught myself thinking, what if it's true? What if they really are someone else's children? And immediately cursed myself. No, they are not strangers. They are mine. 14 years is not a joke. It's an entire life. Kwame became even more distant. He barely spoke to the children, came home late, left early. He answered my questions with monosyllables. I realized I was beginning to hate him, for starting all this, for letting his paranoia destroy our family. The results of the second test came on the 7th day. I picked them up alone. Kwame was at work, or said he was. A different doctor, a different office, the same file folder. The results are identical to the test you performed earlier, the doctor said, not even offering me a seat. No match found on any genetic markers. The children are not biological relatives of either you or your husband. I recommend you contact a lawyer regarding a mix-up at the medical facility. I took the file, walked out, got into the car, placed the file on the passenger seat, and only then allowed myself to sob uncontrollably. It was true, not a mistake, not paranoia, the truth. My children were not my blood. Somewhere else, other children were living. My biological children. They grew up without me, don't know me, maybe don't even suspect the mix-up. And I raised children who weren't mine, loved them, considered them my own. Lord, but I still love them. Does that change anything? Is biology what matters? Or are the 14 years we lived together the important thing? I wiped my tears, started the car, and drove home. I had to decide something, do something. I couldn't just sit there. That evening, after the children were asleep, I showed the results to Kwame. He stared at the papers for a long time, then placed them on the table. So it's true, he said quietly. Yes, what are we going to do? I looked at him, the man I'd lived with for 20 years, the father of my children. No, not the father. Damn, this is complicated. We're going to that clinic, I said. We'll talk to the management, demand answers, look at the archives. There has to be something in the documents. And if there isn't, then we'll find a lawyer, file a lawsuit, and demand a full investigation. I'm not letting this go, Kwame. I have to know what happened. And where are mine? Ours! I stumbled. Where are our biological children? He nodded. Fine. We'll go tomorrow. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, thinking about how to tell Jahari and Amara. Should I tell them at all? Why break their hearts? But I knew I couldn't keep silent. Sooner or later they would find out, and it was better they heard it from me, from us. In the morning we drove to the Providence, the same birthing center where I'd delivered 14 years ago. It had gotten bigger over time. A new sign, new renovations. A smiling young woman greeted us at the reception desk. Hello, how can I help you? I gave birth here 14 years ago, I began, and we have a situation. We need to look through your archives. Documents about the delivery, immediately." The woman's smile became professionally polite. "I understand, but access to archives requires certain documentation. You can file a written request, and within 30 business days—" 30 days? Kwame raised his voice. "We don't have 30 days. "I apologize, but those are the rules." "Listen." I leaned across the counter. "A child mix-up occurred in your clinic 14 years ago. We just received the DNA results. The children I delivered here are not our biological children. Do you understand what that means?" The woman went pale. I'm not authorized. You need to see the chief medical officer, but he's appointment only." "Book us for today. Today is completely full. I can offer you the day after tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. I wanted to scream, to pound my fist on the counter, to demand an immediate meeting, but I knew it wouldn't help. Bureaucracy is the same everywhere. "Fine. The day after tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. Book it." We left the center. Kwame looked bewildered. "Now what?" "Now," I said, pulling out my phone, "we find a good lawyer, one who specializes in medical malpractice." The first search result gave me the contact for attorney Zahara Kincaid. 15 years of experience in medical law, won cases against major clinics, rave reviews. I called. The line was answered immediately. "Hello, this is attorney Kincaid." Her voice was low and confident. "Good afternoon. My name is Imani. I need legal help. I have a very complex situation." "Tell me." I explained in a few words. Mix-up at the birthing center. 2 children, 14 years old, DNA test. Silence on the other end. "Come to my office today at 4:00 p.m., Zahara finally said. "Bring all the documents, the children's birth certificates, discharge papers from the clinic, test results, everything you have." "Thank you," I gasped. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet. It's too soon. These cases are extremely complex, but we'll try." We arrived at her office exactly at 4:00 p.m. Her office was in an older downtown building, a small office piled high with files and books. Behind the desk sat a woman in her 50s in a sharp gray suit, short salt and pepper hair, intelligent, attentive eyes. "Zahara Kincaid," she introduced herself, shaking our hands with a firm, masculine grip. "Sit down. Tell me everything in detail." From the very beginning, I told her about Kwame's demand for the test, the results, the second test, and the clinic's reaction. Zahara listened silently, occasionally jotting notes. "Show me the test results," she requested. I handed over both files. She studied them closely. "I see. The tests were performed in certified laboratories. It will be difficult to dispute them. You delivered at the Providence 14 years ago?" "Yes." "Were there any other births that same day?" "I don't know. They took me to recovery right after the C-section. I was unconscious for almost 24 hours. Zahara nodded. "That's the key factor. The switch could have happened during that 24-hour window. We need to check the clinic's archives, find out who else gave birth to twins that day, or in the immediate days following." "They refused to give us the information without a written request." "That's standard. We'll draft a subpoena through the court. But let's try to act peacefully first. I'll accompany you to the meeting with the chief medical officer. When is it scheduled?" "The day after tomorrow, 2:00 p.m. "Good. I'll be there. In the meantime, I'll pull all the records for the clinic. I'll check if there were any previous complaints. I'll check their licenses. Who was the head of the maternity ward back then?" "That will take a few days' work." "What are your fees?" Kwame asked. Zahara named a figure. It was substantial, but not exorbitant. "Does that work for you?" "Yes," I nodded. "We need results. The cost doesn't matter." "I can't promise results, but I promise to do everything possible." She stood up. "We'll meet the day after tomorrow before the appointment. I'll send you the address." We left the lawyer's office as dusk was settling. We drove home in silence. I thought about having to go to work tomorrow, having to pretend everything was fine, smiling at colleagues, balancing accounts, living a normal life, as if my world hadn't been turned upside down. At home, the children were already asleep. Jahari had left a note on the table. Warmed up dinner for ourselves. Good night. I looked at his childish, rounded handwriting. My responsible, caring boy. He always looked out for his sister, always checked if everything was okay. A stranger's child? How could he be a stranger's child? Kwame went to the living room without a word. I stayed in the kitchen, sat at the table, and put my head in my hands. And that's when it truly hit me. I had a biological child. Or two. Twins. Somewhere out there. They were also switched. They were living in a different family, thinking those people were their parents, not knowing about me, not knowing that somewhere there was a woman who gave birth to them, who carried them for 9 months, who almost died delivering them. And the other woman, the mother of Jahari and Amara, didn't know either. She was living her life, raising my children. Lord, how tangled everything is. And the main question, what should I do with this knowledge now? The meeting with the chief medical officer of the Providence was scheduled for Thursday. Zahara Kincaid arrived half an hour before the appointment. We met in a coffee shop across from the center. I pulled all the information, she said, pulling out a tablet. On the day of your delivery, there was only one other patient who gave birth to twins. Zuri Henderson, 31 at the time. Also a C-section, also complications, though not as serious as yours. She was discharged on the 5th day. I felt my heart pound faster. Henderson. Where are they now? Can we contact them? They live in the city. They own a chain of nutrition stores, quite successful. I've already sent an official request through their lawyer asking for a meeting. No response yet. They'll refuse, Kwame interjected. Who would want to upend their life like that? Possibly, but we have grounds to file a lawsuit demanding a genetic test. It's a long process, though. How long? Months, maybe a year. A year? A whole year of uncertainty. No, I said firmly. I can't wait a year. There has to be another way. Zahara looked at me intently. There's an unofficial way. You can try to reach out to them directly. Find them on social media, write a letter, try to accidentally run into them. Sometimes the human approach works better than the legal one. The chief medical officer turned out to be a plump man in his 60s, with a shiny bald spot and a heavy jowl, Dr. Kenneth Davies. He listened to our story, frowning more and more deeply. I understand your concern, he began diplomatically, but 14 years have passed. The staff has completely turned over. Documents? He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Well, you understand. Archives from that time. I want to see the documents, Zahara cut him off. The labor log for that day, the medical records, the protocols for the transfer of newborns. Everything must be in the archive. It's the law. Of course, Dr. Davies fidgeted. But that requires an official request, through a court or a prosecutor's office. Fine, Zahara nodded. Then we will file a complaint with the district attorney's office demanding an investigation and a lawsuit seeking damages for emotional distress. I imagine the amount will be substantial. The mix-up of children is a serious offense. The doctor went pale. Let's not jump to conclusions. It's possible there was an error in the lab where you had the test done. That happens. We had the test done at 2 different labs, I said harshly. The results are identical. There's no mistake. Nevertheless, he spread his hands. You see, even if we assume a mix-up occurred, it was 14 years ago. Most of the people working then are no longer at the clinic. The nurse who delivered your babies, what was her name? Zahara quickly asked. Nurse Ilara Brooks. He hesitated. Unfortunately, she passed away 5 years ago. Convenient, the lawyer remarked dryly. And the other nurses? The neonatologists? Someone else was in the maternity ward that night. I will look up the documents and give you a list, but I can't promise anything. We left his office 40 minutes later, with a promise to provide information within a week. He's stalling, Zahara said. Now they'll sanitize everything they can, cover their tracks. Standard procedure. So, what do? We act faster than they do. I'm filing the complaint with the district attorney today, and you, find the Hendersons. The sooner we know the truth, the better. I spent the whole evening on my phone at home. I found Zuri Henderson's social media page. It was a private profile, but the avatar photo was open. A well-kept woman in her 40s wearing expensive sunglasses. Next to her, a man, tall and athletic, Jabez probably, and 2 children, teenagers, a boy and a girl. I enlarged the photo, scrutinizing the children's faces. The girl had dark hair and fine features. The boy was reddish blonde, freckled. Which one is mine? Or are they both? I wrote her a message. I rewrote it 10 times before hitting send. Good evening, Zuri. My name is Imani. We both delivered twins at the Providence on the same day 14 years ago. I have a very important matter to discuss with you. Please contact me. This is about our children. No answer. A day, 2 days, 3 days. I started to lose hope. Maybe she didn't read messages from strangers. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she just ignored it. Kwame, meanwhile, grew increasingly distant. He came home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. I didn't ask. I didn't care. My entire world now revolved around one thing, finding the truth. Jahari and Amara felt the tension. One day, my daughter asked directly, "Mom, is this because of that test?" "Yes." "Are the results wrong?" I couldn't lie. "Yes, sweetie, something is wrong with the results, but I'm looking into it. We'll figure everything out soon." "And then what?" She looked at me with serious green eyes. "Are you and Dad getting divorced?" "I don't know. Possibly." "Because of us?" "No." I hugged her. "No, baby. Not because of you. Never think that. This is a complicated adult problem. But you and Jahari have nothing to do with it." She nodded, but I could see she didn't believe me. On the 5th day, a reply came from Zuri Henderson. Short. "Let's meet. Tomorrow at 3:00 p.m., Aroma Cafe on Fulton Street." I arrived 20 minutes early, ordered a coffee, and didn't drink it. I just held the cup to occupy my hands. Zuri appeared exactly at 3, tall, slender, in an expensive coat. I recognized her from the photo. She scanned the cafe, found me, and walked over. "Imani." "Thank you for agreeing to meet." She sat across from me, took off her gloves. Her hands were trembling. "I wanted to ignore your message at first," she said quietly. "But then I realized I couldn't, because I know too. We had a test done as well." I gasped. "When?" 2 months ago." Zuri covered her face with her hands. "God, I still can't believe it." "Tell me." She took a deep breath. "Our daughter, Aaliyah, is 14. She doesn't look like either me or my husband. Not physically, not in personality. She has dark brown hair and dark eyes. Jabez and I both have light hair. He has blue eyes. I have gray eyes. We always dismissed it as grandparents' genes. But Aaliyah is very introverted, quiet, loves to read, stays home. And our son, Asante, is the complete opposite. Active, athletic, a carbon copy of his father. And you decided to get a test? Jabez decided. He had doubts. He kept hinting that maybe I'd cheated on him. It was insulting. I agreed to the test to prove him wrong, and when the results came back... She fell silent. "Aaliyah is not your biological daughter," I finished for her. "Yes. And Asante is ours. Only the girl was switched. One of the twins. And I knew right away it happened at the birthing center. I had complications too. They took me away from the babies for several hours too. And when I came back, they brought me the 2 infants. I was in such a state I barely looked at them. I just took them and held them close." "And what did you do next?" She smiled bitterly. "Nothing. Jabez and I fought. He blamed me for everything, said I'd lied to him for 14 years, that Aaliyah wasn't his daughter. I tried to explain about the mix-up, but he wouldn't listen. We're living like strangers in the same house now. We didn't tell Aaliyah anything. She doesn't know." I was silent, processing the information. "Zuri, I gave birth to twins on the same day, in the same clinic, a boy and a girl, Jahari and Amara, and our test showed that neither of them is the biological child of me or my husband." Zuri stared at me with wide eyes. "So you're saying—" "I'm saying that the girls were most likely switched. You're Aaliyah and my Amara. Your daughter is my biological daughter, and my daughter is yours? Silence. Long, ringing silence. Oh my God, Zuri whispered. Oh my God. We need to do a cross-test, I said. Test all 4 children, then we'll know the truth for sure. I can't, she shook her head. Jabez won't agree. He doesn't want to hear about this. Zuri, listen to me. Your biological daughter is growing up somewhere. She thinks I'm her mother. And the daughter you raised, she's my blood. We can't just ignore this. What do you propose? Tears were in her voice. Switching the children back? Telling 14-year-olds, hi, your parents aren't your parents. Go live with strangers? No, I don't know, I said. But we can't be silent either. They have a right to know the truth. Zuri wiped her tears. I need a week to think, to talk to Jabez. This is all so... I'm not ready. I understand, but time is short. My lawyer has already filed a complaint with the district attorney's office. An official investigation will start soon, and then everything will become public knowledge. It's better we figure things out between ourselves now. She nodded. Give me a week. Okay. We exchanged phone numbers. I watched her walk away, a tall, beautiful woman, the mother of my daughter. How strange that sounded. A surprise awaited me at home. Kwame was packing. What's going on? I asked. I'm moving out, he said, not looking at me. I'm getting an apartment. We need time to think, to figure things out. Figure things out? I laughed. Or just run away? He finally looked at me. Guilt was in his eyes. Imani, I can't. I can't look at them every day and think, these are not my children, strangers' kids. You raised them for 14 years. I raised them because I thought they were mine. He tossed a shirt into the bag. But they're not mine, don't you understand? No blood relation. I'm nothing to them. You are their father. It doesn't matter what DNA says. You were there when they took their first steps. You taught Jahari how to ride a bike. You drove Amara to dance class. That means everything. It meant nothing. It was all a lie. Not a lie. A life. Our life. He zipped the bag. I need time. Hold on. I grabbed his arm. Is there someone else? Yes. Another woman? He didn't answer, which was the same as admitting it. Nala, I said, naming his colleague from the marketing department. Don't call her that. Ah, I shouldn't call her that. I let go of his arm. So, you're not only abandoning your children, but you're also cheating on me. Bravo. What a hero. We ended things long before this, he said quietly. We just didn't admit it to ourselves. No, I shook my head. You ended things. I'm still here. I'm still fighting for our family. And you're running away. Think what you want. He left. The front door slammed shut. I stood in the middle of the living room with his clothes scattered on the floor and laughed hysterically until I cried, because otherwise I would have howled. Mom! Jahari stood in his doorway, pale, scared. Dad left. Yes, honey. For good? I don't know. He walked over and hugged me. My boy, almost an adult now, half a head taller than me. It's gonna be all right, Mom, he whispered. We'll handle this. And I burst into tears on his shoulder. My son was comforting me. Everything was turned upside down. The week crawled by agonizingly slowly. I went to work, cooked dinner, helped the kids with homework, pretending life was going on. Kwame didn't call. Zahara Kincaid called every day. The DA's office had started the investigation. The clinic provided documents. They did indeed show that on that night, there were 2 sets of twin births, mine and the Hendersons. Nurse Alara Brooks delivered both sets. The other nurse on duty was a woman named Ayanna Cole. She was still alive and working at another clinic. I found her, Zahara said. I arranged a meeting. Will you come with me? Of course. Nurse Ayanna Cole was a woman in her 50s with a tired face and kind eyes. We met at her apartment. She offered us tea and sat us down on her sofa. I remember that night, she said immediately. 2 sets of twins. It was rare. Both C-sections. both with complications. Nurse Brooks was rushing between the two operating rooms. I was helping as much as I could, but we were short-staffed. Night shift, you know. "What happened?" I asked. She sighed. "After delivery, the babies are moved to the nursery. A tag with the family name and time of birth is put on each one. That night there was so much commotion. 4 newborns at once. 2 boys, 2 girls. They looked alike, as all babies do. I was putting on the tags. I remember I got distracted by a call. The recovery room called, asking about one of the mothers, and when I came back, 2 tags were lying side by side. I don't remember exactly which girls they belonged to. I put them back on, but I could have mixed them up." "You could have mixed them up?" Zahara repeated. "Yes." Nurse Cole started to cry. "I could have. Lord, I've lived with this for so many years. I didn't know if I should say anything. Nurse Brooks told me not to worry, that the babies were healthy and the parents were happy. But it ate at me. Then Nurse Brooks died, and I was left with this secret alone." "Why did you keep silent?" I stood up, my hands shaking. 14 years! 14 years we lived in the dark! I was scared. Scared I'd be fired. Scared of a lawsuit. I have a family, a mortgage. I couldn't lose my job. Zahara put a hand on my shoulder. "Imani, calm down. Nurse Cole, are you prepared to give an official testimony?" "Yes," she nodded. "Yes, I have to. I've lived with this burden long enough." We left her an hour later. I was barely holding it together. All this time I had hoped it was a mistake, that the children were actually mine. But now there was no doubt. The switch had happened. The next day, Zuri called. "I told Jabez, we want to do the test. All 4 children, let's meet." We met at the same lab where I'd done the first test. This time, there were 8 of us. Me, Kwame, he came after all, Zuri, Jabez, and the 4 children. Jahari and Amara looked at Asante and Aaliyah with curiosity. Teenagers always sense when something monumental is happening. "Mom," Amara whispered, "why are we here? Who are these people?" "I'll explain later, sweetie. Just be patient." The procedure took 10 minutes. Cheek swabs, tubes, labels. The doctor promised results in 3 days. For 3 days, I didn't sleep, didn't eat. I walked around like a zombie. Jahari and Amara were afraid to ask, sensing I was at my breaking point. The results arrived Friday evening. Zahara Kincaid came to our house herself. Zuri was with her. We sat at the kitchen table. The children were in their rooms. "Read this," Zahara said, handing me the document. I read. The letters blurred before my eyes. Genetic analysis showed the following. Jahari is the biological son of Imani and Kwame. Asante is the biological son of Zuri and Jabez. Amara is the biological daughter of Zuri and Jabez. Aaliyah is the biological daughter of Imani and Kwame. I looked up at Zuri. She was staring back at me. "The girls were switched," I choked out. "Yes. My daughter is Aaliyah." "Yes." "And your daughter is Amara." "Yes." We sat in silence. I don't know how much time passed, maybe a minute, maybe an hour. "Now what?" Zuri asked. "Now," Zahara said, "we have to tell the children the truth and decide how to move forward." I looked at the door to Amara's room. My girl, who wasn't really mine, but whom I loved so much, I would die for her. And somewhere else, another girl was living. Aaliyah, my blood, my flesh, who didn't know me. "How do we tell them?" I whispered. "How do you tell a child you're not their birth mother?" "We'll tell them together," Zuri said. "All 4 of them at once. Let them see that we are all in this together." "When?" "Tomorrow, at our house. Come at 3 o'clock with the children." I nodded. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, my life would change completely. Tomorrow, I would tell Amara she wasn't my biological daughter, and I would meet Aaliyah, my real daughter. But what did it change? Amara would always be my daughter. I raised her. I love her. What did her blood matter? And Aaliyah, the poor girl, would find out her mother wasn't her mother, that somewhere there was another woman who gave birth to her. Lord, how complicated everything is. In the morning, I gathered Johari and Amara. "We need to go somewhere," I said, "to visit a family. We have a very important conversation." "About what?" Johari asked. "About you. About us. About what happened 14 years ago." "Mom, you're scaring me." "I know, honey. I'm sorry, but there's no other way. Trust me." We arrived at the Hendersons' house exactly at 3. They lived in an upscale neighborhood in a large, beautiful home. Zuri opened the door herself. She was pale, her eyes red. She hadn't slept either. "Come in." In the living room, Jabez, Asante, and Aaliyah were waiting for us. For the first time, I saw my biological daughter up close. A tall, slender girl with dark brown hair and dark eyes. She looked like me, very much so. The same facial features, the same eye shape. Johari and Amara followed me in uncertainly. "Sit down." Zuri gestured to the sofa. We sat. The children looked at us warily. "What's going on?" Amara asked. I looked at Zuri. She nodded. "Start." I took a deep breath. "Kids," I began, "what I'm about to tell you is very difficult and painful, but you need to know the truth. 14 years ago, there was a mistake at the birthing center." I spoke slowly, choosing my words carefully. You were switched. Not all of you, only the girls, Amara and Aaliyah." Silence. Complete, ringing silence. "What?" Amara breathed out. "We did a test, all of us, and it turns out that Amara, you are the biological daughter of Zuri and Jabez, and Aaliyah is my biological daughter, mine and your dad's." Amara stared at me. Her face was white. "You're joking? No, this is crazy. This is some kind of nightmare." "Amara, I know this is a shock, but you're not my mom." Her voice trembled. "You're saying that I'm a stranger?" "No." I lunged for her, but she pulled away. "You are not a stranger. You are my daughter. You're just biologically Zuri's daughter." "And who is Zuri?" Amara pointed at Zuri. "This lady. She's nobody to me." "Amara, please calm down," Zuri pleaded. "Don't tell me what to do. You're not my mother." I am your biological mother," Zuri said quietly. "I don't care." Amara jumped up. "I don't want to hear this. I don't want this." She ran out of the room, slamming the door. I wanted to follow her, but Johari stopped me. "Give her time, Mom." Aaliyah was also crying, quietly, hiding her face in Zuri's shoulder. "I don't want to go with them," she whispered. "Mom, I don't want to leave with strangers." "No one is leaving," Zuri said firmly. "Aaliyah, listen to me. You are staying with me. With us. You are our daughter. You always have been, and always will be." But I'm not yours. I'm hers." Aaliyah looked at me. I met her gaze. My daughter, my blood, yet so distant, so scared. She didn't want to know me. "Aaliyah," I said softly, "I'm not going to take you away. Zuri is your mother, the one who raised you. I just want to get to know you, if you want that." She didn't answer. Asante and Johari sat silently. The boys. They were the only ones who remained in their original families. Nothing had changed for them. "This isn't fair," Asante suddenly said. "Why were the girls switched and not us?" "It was chance," Jabez replied. "Just chance. A messed up chance." The meeting was a disaster. Amara refused to come out of the room. Aaliyah was sobbing. Zuri and I looked at each other, not knowing what to do. "Give them time," Zahara Kincaid advised. "It's a shock. They need time to process." We left. In the car, Amara was silent, staring out the window. I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't answer. At home, she locked herself in her room, didn't come out even for dinner. Johari brought her food, but she didn't touch it. That night, I heard crying. I went to her door. I wanted to go in, but I didn't dare. I just stood there, listening to my girl, who was no longer mine, sobbing. The next few days were hell. Amara wouldn't speak to me, answering only in monosyllables, avoiding my gaze. I could see her looking at me with hurt, pain, and confusion, as if I had betrayed her. Jahari tried to mediate, talking to his sister, explaining that it wasn't my fault, that I was a victim too, but Amara wouldn't listen. Kwame called a week later. "How are the kids?" "Amara won't talk to me. Jahari is holding up. Why do you care?" "Imani, don't be like that. Don't." I laughed. "You abandoned us at the worst possible time. You ran off to your mistress, and now you're asking how the kids are." "I want to see them." "Come, the door is open." He came the next day. Jahari hugged him. Amara didn't even leave her room. "Amara," Kwame called, "please come out." "I don't want to," she yelled from behind the door. "Sweetheart, I need to talk to you." "There's nothing to talk about. You're not my dad anyway, so why do you want to talk to me?" Kwame paled, looking at me. "She thinks I'm no longer her father." "What do you think?" I asked harshly. "You left. You said you couldn't look at strangers' kids." "I didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did." He left after half an hour, unable to speak with Amara. Zahara Kincaid was preparing the lawsuit against the clinic. We were demanding compensation for emotional distress, a huge amount, recognition of the mix-up, and a formal apology. "The process will be long," she warned. "Months, maybe even a year. The clinic will fight it, hiring expensive lawyers. But we have the nurse's testimony. We have the DNA results. We will win." "And if we don't, we will win." She was confident. "This case is ironclad." Zuri called every day, asking about Amara, telling me about Aaliyah. "She won't talk to us either," Zuri said, exhausted. "She's withdrawn into herself. Jabez tries to talk to her, but she just stays silent. I'm afraid we're losing her." "They need time." "How much time? A week? A month? A year? When will they stop hating us?" "They don't hate you. They're scared their lives are changing, that they'll be taken to another family. But we're not planning to do that." "They don't know that. They're teenagers. At that age, any change is a catastrophe." I suggested we meet again, both families together, to show the children that nothing terrible was going to happen, that they would stay in their homes with their parents. We met at the park, neutral territory. We sat on benches, drinking coffee from thermoses. The children stood apart, 4 teenagers, silent, tense. "Guys," I began, "we want to explain something. What happened is not your fault. It was a mistake, a stupid, terrible mistake that happened 14 years ago." "So what now?" Amara asked. It was the first time she'd spoken to me in a week. "Are you going to switch us back?" "No," Zuri and I answered simultaneously. "No," I repeated. "No one is switching anyone. You will stay in the families where you grew up, because family is not just blood, it's love, care, years spent together." "Then why did you even start all this?" Aaliyah looked at me. "Why did you do that test? We were living fine." "Because we had a right to know the truth," Zuri answered. "And so do you." "I didn't want to know," Aaliyah whispered. "Me neither," Amara added. Jahari and Asante remained silent. For the boys, the situation was simpler. They stayed with their biological parents. They didn't have to reevaluate their identity. "We're not asking you to accept everything right away," Zuri said. "We just want you to know we are all here. We all love you, and we will keep loving you no matter what happens." "Even if I'm not your daughter?" Aaliyah asked Zuri. "You are my daughter." Zuri took her hand. 14 years, you are my daughter, and you always will be." Aaliyah burst into tears, clinging to Zuri. Amara watched them. Envy was in her eyes. She wanted the same thing. She wanted me to say the same thing to her. I walked over to her, sat down beside her. "Amara, my sunshine, listen to me." I took her face in my hands. "You were and will remain my daughter." "Did you give birth to me?" No, but I raised you. I was there when you cut your first teeth, when you learned to walk, when you went to school for the first time, when you had your first crush. I know you better than anyone, and I love you more than I love myself. But I'm not your blood, she whispered. Blood is just a fluid. I pressed her head to my chest. And love is everything. And I love you, do you understand? I love you. She began to sob, hugging me tightly, desperately. I stroked her hair and cried with her. I'm sorry, Mom, she choked out. I'm sorry I acted like that. You have nothing to apologize for, baby. Nothing. We sat in the park until evening, talking. The children asked questions. We answered honestly, without sugarcoating anything. Asante asked Amara, Isn't it weird that we're brother and sister? Yeah, she nodded. Really weird. Do you want to hang out sometime? Maybe. Aaliyah came up to me as we were getting ready to leave. Can I call you? She stammered. Imani, I prompted. Just Imani, no auntie and no mom until you want to. Okay, Imani. She tasted my name. Can I come visit sometime? See your house? Of course. Come whenever you want. A week later, she came. Shy, uncertain. I showed her the apartment, the family photos, Jahari's and Amara's childhood drawings. She examined everything carefully. It's cozy here, she said. Thank you. Our house is bigger, but this one feels warmer somehow. We drank tea in the kitchen, talking. I was getting to know her, my daughter. She loves to read, dreams of becoming a writer, writes stories, but is too shy to show them. I used to write when I was a kid, too, I confessed. Bad poems, probably, but I loved it. Really? She brightened. Do you still have them? Somewhere in an old notebook. That would be awesome. Amara walked into the kitchen, saw Aaliyah, and froze. Hi, Aaliyah said. Hi, Amara replied. They looked at each other. Two girls of the same age, one light, one dark, one the daughter of my body, the other the daughter of my heart. Want some tea? Amara asked. Yes, please. They sat next to each other and started talking about school, about music, about books. Gradually, the tension eased. They laughed, finding common ground. I watched them, thinking, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe some good can come out of this nightmare. 2 families, 4 children, all connected now. Kwame filed for divorce a month after our meeting in the park, officially, through the court. I don't want to pretend anymore, he said. We're over, Imani. We were over when you left for another woman, I replied. But I guess the formalities are needed. The divorce was quick. There wasn't much to divide. The apartment was mine. The children were with me. He paid child support for Jahari because Jahari was his biological son. He wasn't obligated to pay for Amara, but he did. Conscience, probably. He and Nala didn't last. They broke up after 3 months. He was alone, renting an apartment, seeing the kids once a week. Jahari went. Amara refused. He died to me, she told me once. A real father doesn't abandon his daughter when she's hurting. I didn't argue. She had a right to her feelings. The lawsuit against the clinic began 4 months later, a long, grueling process. The clinic's lawyers tried to prove that the mix-up was unproven, that the nurse's testimony was unreliable, that the genetic tests might be flawed. Zahara Kincaid tore their arguments apart, presenting documents, expert testimony, and the nurse's statement. The clinic fought until the very end, but we won. After 8 months, the court recognized the fact of the switch. They awarded us $2,000 in damages to each family. The clinic was ordered to conduct an internal investigation and tighten newborn identification protocols. It's a victory, Zahara said. Not just for you, but for everyone. This won't happen again. I set aside the money for the children's education. Jahari for game development, Amara for professional dance school, and Aaliyah for literary courses, which she requested. Yes, Aaliyah became a part of our life. She came over every week, sometimes staying the night. Amara was jealous at first, but she got used to it. They even became friends. "It's weird," Amara said one day. "It's like I have two families now, my real one and my biological one." "They're both real," I corrected her. "No, only one is real, the one where I'm loved, and that's you." Zuri also became a friend, a close one. We called each other every day, discussing the children, problems, joys. She told me about Aaliyah. I told her about Amara. "You know," she said to me once, "I'm grateful for this twist of fate. Yes, that sounds strange, but if it weren't for the switch, I would never have truly known Aaliyah, all her depth, all her beauty. I would have just been raising someone else's child and never thought about it. And now I cherish every day with her." "Me too," I admitted. "I'm grateful for Amara, for Aaliyah, for you, for going through this together. We made it." Yes, we did. A year passed. We organized a joint picnic. Both families, Zuri, Jabez, Asante, Aaliyah, me, Jahari, Amara. Kwame wasn't there. No one invited him. We settled by the riverbank, spread out a blanket, and got out the food. The children swam, laughed, splashing water. I watched them. Jahari, tall, strong, almost a man. He was starting college for computer science. Amara, beautiful, confident, dancing professionally, dreaming of going to Juilliard. Asante, the athlete who took first place in the city swimming competition. Aaliyah, who published her first short story in a youth magazine. 4 children, 2 families, all bound now by an unbreakable bond. Aaliyah came out of the water, walked over to me, and sat down. "Imani, can I ask you a question?" "Of course." Do you regret that all this happened?" I thought about it. Did I regret it? A year ago, I would have said yes. I regretted being deprived of my own child, that I raised another woman's daughter for 14 years, that my family fell apart. But now, no, I said. I don't regret it. Because of this, I got to know you, and I understood that motherhood isn't about blood. It's about love. Amara will be my daughter forever, regardless of DNA. And you've also become dear to me, in your own way. "Can I call you Mom?" she asked softly. "Not instead of Mom Zuri, but like a second mom? I'll have 2 mothers." I took a sharp breath. "You can, if you want." "I want to." She hugged me. "Mom." Amara came out of the water just then, saw us, smiled, and walked over, hugging me from the other side. "Group hug without me?" she joked. "Join in," Aaliyah laughed. They hugged me, 2 girls, one my blood, the other my heart, both my daughters. Zuri looked at us, smiling. I saw tears on her cheeks, happy tears. "Hey, don't forget us." Jahari and Asante walked over. "We want in on the hug, too." And there we were, all 5 of us, hugging and laughing. The sun was setting over the river, painting the water gold. "You know," Amara said, "this is the weirdest family in the world." "But the coolest," Asante added. "Agreed," Aaliyah nodded. Jahari just smiled. That evening, when everyone was leaving, Zuri lingered. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For raising my daughter so well, so right. Amara is an amazing girl. That's your doing." "You raised Aaliyah," I replied. "My daughter. Sensitive, smart, talented. That's your doing." We hugged for a long time. 2 women, 2 mothers, both lost and both gained. "We made it," Zuri whispered. "Yes, we made it." I returned home late. The children were asleep, Jahari in his room, Amara in hers. I looked in on my daughter. She was sleeping, hugging the old teddy bear I had given her on her 2nd birthday. I adjusted the blanket, kissed her forehead. "Good night, my girl," I whispered. I sat down in the kitchen, brewed tea, and looked out the window at the city lights. A year ago, my life collapsed. I found out my children weren't mine, that my husband was cheating on me, that I had lived in an illusion for 14 years. But now I realized this wasn't the end. It was a beginning of a new life, a more honest, more conscious life. I don't have a husband, but I have children. 3 of them. Jahari, Amara, and Aaliyah. All 3 are mine, in different ways, but mine. I have a friend in Zuri, a woman who understands me better than anyone because she walked the same path. I have hope for the future, that everything will work out, somehow. My phone vibrated. A message from Aaliyah. "Thanks for today, Mom. It was the best day." I smiled, wrote back, "Me too, sunshine. Good night." I put the phone down, finished my tea, and stood up. Tomorrow would be a new day. There would be problems, there would be difficulties, there would be moments when I wanted to give up everything. But I would manage. We would manage because we are family. Strange, complicated, built from broken pieces, but family. I turned off the kitchen light, walked into my room, lay down in bed, closed my eyes, and for the first time in a year, I fell asleep peacefully. No nightmares, no anxiety, no fear. I just slept, because I knew everything would be all right. Not perfect, not like a fairy tale, but all right, truly all right. And that was enough. Did you like the story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.